Should you go paleo or cut out sugar or do the 5-2 diet? There are so many diets out there, it's hard to make sense of which one actually works. So Professor Manny Noakes is with us on the couch to talk about it. Professor, the diet nutrition market is so saturated. There are so many fads. How do we know which one to go for?
Well, I think it's important to really go for studies and diets that have been based on scientific fact. And the paleo, although there's a romanticism about it that is based on evolution, in fact, the science behind it is pretty slim.
What's the big problem with paleo?
Well, I think there are some good things and some bad things. So the good things are that you cut out a lot of junk food, and because 30 to 40% of what we eat is junk food, that's got to be a good thing. The not so good thing is that it cuts out dairy foods and it cuts out grains, and both of those food components provide really necessary nutrition for us. So I think that, you know, people will feel better if they go on paleo, but long term, I don't believe that it's a really healthy way to go.
So long term, is it sort of everything in moderation?
In general, yes, but we do need foods from different food groups. We are actually omnivores, and we've been adapted to eat a variety of different foods, and each of those foods provide us with unique nutritional benefits. Dairy provides us with calcium for our bones, grains provide us with important nutrients for gut health and for the gut bacteria, which we've heard so much about in more recent times.
You're the author of the CSIRO Wellbeing diet. Tell us a little bit about that and why you think that is the way for people to eat.
Yeah, well, the Total Wellbeing diet is based on a lot of clinical studies that we've done at CSIRO and both internationally as well. And what we've shown is that diets that are higher in protein and lower in GI, that include foods from each of the core food groups, helps to maximise fat loss when you're losing weight and helps to maintain muscle mass and helps to control appetite. If you're trying to lose weight, you're going to get very hungry. You will feel less hungry on a higher protein diet. So it has elements of paleo, that is, it has a lot of high protein, lean high protein foods. It has a lot of vegetables and some fruit, but it does also include the right amount of dairy foods and the right amount of low GI grains.
But even this diet was criticised by the science community.
Well, look, I think anything that is a little bit new always has some degree of resistance, and sometimes it takes a long time for the scientific literature to become mainstream.
But that's what Pete Evans says about the paleo diet. This is why I think people get confused. Like, everyone comes out with a diet and then no one seems to know who to look at.
Just one really quick question, sorry.
Go.
I'm with Ita. I think everything in moderation. A very good friend of mine has recently become a vegan. Can you just explain to me what's wrong with that? I'm sorry.
Isn't it obvious?
Well, I mean, it cuts out so many food groups, and therefore I think it's an unbalanced diet on so many levels, and so dangerous for children, let alone the paleo diet. We won't go there. But cutting out all animal foods, irrespective of how we may feel about animals, those foods do provide us with a rich supply of nutrients that our body needs.
And it makes them annoying at dinner parties as well.
We've got some tips on how to stay trim and not get too heavy over Easter. What are your tips? Choose dark chocolate eggs. Why is that?
Well, dark chocolate is generally more flavoursome. It's generally healthier, slightly lower in kilojoules. But the important thing is that it contains a number of components called polyphenols that are better for our health and well-being.
What about eating lots of little eggs?
Well,
does that make it better?
Studies,
one big one?
Jessica, studies have shown that if you have smaller portion sizes, on average, you will eat less than if you eat bigger portion sizes. So you are better off having the smaller eggs, and you're probably also better off having the eggs that are the best quality chocolate you can buy.
What about the hot cross buns?
Well, a hot cross bun like that would be the equivalent of a couple of slices of bread in terms of kilojoules.
Oh,
so
really?
They're not too bad, but it's because you also slather them with butter.
You've got to put butter on a hot cross bun. Absolutely essential.
I think the important thing is to buy the smallest ones you can, but also set yourself a limit to how many you're going to eat. Because
and
if you don't,
I think it's important to enjoy.
I think, Jessica, that's really the key point. The important thing is to eat it really slowly and savour it. If you're thinking about what you're eating, you feel more satisfied. So buy the best quality that you can.
Try and stay active as well over the Easter break is another really good point. Eat more seafood is another great tip. And celebrate in small doses. What do you mean by this?
Well, celebrating in small doses means, again, eating really fabulous food in small amounts, but also being really careful with alcohol. If you're eating or drinking alcohol, particularly when you've got lots of nibbles, you will completely forget how much you're eating and overeat. So it's really important to pace alcohol, probably better to have it with meals rather than having it at a cocktail party, and try and have water in between alcoholic drinks.
Professor, thank you for coming in and sharing your diet tips.